This is no longer a game for two players, if it ever was. Stannis Baratheon and Lysa Arryn have fled beyond my reach, and the Whispers say they are gathering swords around them. The Knight of Flowers writes Highgarden, urging his Lord Father to send his sister to court. The girl is a maid of 14, sweet and beautiful and tractable, and Lord Renly and Sir Loras intend that Robert should wed her, and make a new queen. Littlefinger... The gods only know what game Littlefinger is playing.
Wonderful passage, and I think it leads us right into a great question. What is the game that Littlefinger is playing? And to answer that question, let's dive into a passage from an Elaine chapter, 3 books later, all the way in A Feast for Crows.
Games? I suppose it would depend.
Rissell reappeared before he could say more, balancing a large platter. There were apples and pears and pomegranates, and some sad-looking grapes. A huge blood orange. The old woman had brought a round of bread as well, and a crock of butter. Petyr cut a pomegranate in 2 with his dagger, offering half to Sansa.
You should try and eat, my lady. Thank you, my lord.
Pomegranate seeds were so messy, Sansa chose a pear instead, and took a small, delicate bite. It was very ripe. The juice ran down her chin. Lord Petyr loosened a seed with the point of his dagger.
You must miss your father terribly, I know. Lord Eddard was a brave man, honest and loyal, but quite a hopeless player.
He brought the seed to his mouth with the knife.
In King's Landing, there are 2 sorts of people. The players and the pieces. And I was a piece.
She dreaded the answer.
Yes, but don't let that trouble you. You're still half a child. Every man's a piece to start with, and every maid as well. Even some who think they are players.
He ate another seed.
Cersei, for one. She thinks herself sly, but in truth she is utterly predictable. Her strength rests on her beauty, birth, and riches. Only the first of those is truly her own, and it will soon desert her. She wants power, but has no notion of what to do with it when she gets it. Everyone wants something, Elaine. And when you know what a man wants, you know who he is, and you know how to move him.
So what do these 2 passages tell us? I think it's quite interesting that Varys doesn't know how to move Littlefinger. You would think if Littlefinger was motivated by power, or a desire to climb the ladder more, or a desire to get more wealth, or a nice castle, or something like that, that Varys would be pretty easily clued in as to what he was after. This is the Master of Whispers, after all, with potentially dozens of mute children who spy on the world for him. I suspect he could have cracked the nut of Littlefinger desires Harrenhal. Okay, random internet guy. I kinda catch the drift of what you're saying here. But, how come Varys didn't figure out Littlefinger's past? I mean, don't people know about the duel and shit like that? If Littlefinger really is motivated by revenge, and specifically revenge against the Tullys and their benefactors and allies, then why didn't Varys pin that on him? Well, as it turns out, Littlefinger's actually been doing a lot of meddling over the last 15 years, trying to reconstruct history and create a different past for himself, where he was actually Chad as all hell, just having sex left and right with both the girls at Riverrun. You know, the kind of guy who Brandon Stark would have to duel to put in his place, not the kind of guy who would cry and, try to attack some random dude who got engaged to a girl he liked. Littlefinger also seems to have used his wealth to brand himself quite heavily outwardly as a big-time playa. Def the kind of dude who has sex in brothels because he owns brothels. Def not the kind of guy who cries himself to sleep at night thinking about that girl he used to like. And while some may know the truth of his humble beginnings, they do not seem to really know much beyond that. And frankly, with the death of many of the people who would have been there at Riverrun to tell on Littlefinger if they ever came to King's Landing to be interrogated by Varys or something for whatever reason, means that Littlefinger has actually done a rather successful job at erasing his past and reinventing his image. It's not flawless, but Littlefinger has undergone somewhat of a reputation scrub. Okay, random internet guy, hold up. What are you telling me here? You're telling me that Littlefinger did his best to make sure most people didn't know about his past, probably specifically Varys, so he could operate as some kind of subtle and undetected agent and start the War of the Five Kings to get revenge? Yeah, actually, that's more or less what I'm putting forth. I think the reason why nobody, including Varys, can pin Littlefinger's motivations is that he's not revealing them, because when you reveal your motivations and people know what you're doing, they know how to manipulate you. And building on top of that, I think we've been watching him carry out a revenge scheme throughout our narrative. So now that I think we've gotten a glimpse into the core of how Littlefinger operates, let's talk about hidden daggers.
Tell me, Elaine, which is more dangerous? The dagger brandished by an enemy, or one pressed to your back by someone you never even see? The hidden dagger. That's a clever girl.
He smiled, his thin lips bright red from the pomegranate seeds.
Going all the way back to the first video in the series, hidden daggers are critical to many theories when it comes to how Littlefinger operates, and who might be a hidden dagger is a highly debated topic. For example, if you subscribe to Preston Jacobs' theories, he puts forth both a Server X, someone intending to poison Tyrion at the wedding who accidentally poisoned Joffrey, and he puts forward the idea that the cat's paw, sent in the early chapters of Game of Thrones, was actually a hidden dagger of Littlefinger's. So what exactly is a hidden dagger, and where are we seeing them being used? Well, that's what's so cool about the way that Littlefinger operates. Functionally speaking, hidden daggers could be anybody. Anybody whom Littlefinger knows the motivations of. Hidden daggers are everybody from the nameless nobodies that we see, such as the Catspaw that tried to kill Bran, and most likely also brought the box with the Mirish lens to Winterfell, to the alleged Server X, who would have been attempting to poison Tyrion to free Sansa up for marriage, all the way to Lysa Tully herself. And hidden daggers, although they can be used to do murders, don't always have to be used to do murders. For example, the Kettleblacks qualify as hidden daggers in my opinion, and their role is more or less just to be let loose in King's Landing so they can be tapped for information when needed. Sir Gregor Clegane is likely a hidden dagger of Littlefinger's, as well as whoever improperly fastened Sir Hugh's gorget. Unlike Varys' little birds, who are crafted to fill very specific functions, one might not even know that they were a hidden dagger. And this is why Littlefinger doesn't always need to kill off or cut the tongues out of his hidden daggers, although he very often does lead them to be killed. Littlefinger operates on and against others by utilizing the very weakness that he protects himself from when dealing with others. This also should somewhat help explain Littlefinger's overall strategy in playing the game. By concealing his desires and objectives, all moves can be made to seem ambiguous or senseless, even if they serve a particular strategy. And in this way, even accidents or fuck-ups can be covered up as legitimate moves. This is, more or less, the way of the finger, to know what motivates one's opponent, and thus allow oneself to move them, while denying their opponents the same luxury, to strike with one's own motivations through the motivations of others. And thus, in the end, chaos is much less a ladder than a ruse. After all, how could something so linear and easily decipherable truly represent chaos, truly represent an indecipherable strategy? The way of the finger has shrouded and protected Littlefinger against even the most diabolical of schemers. But even the way of the finger is not a match for true chaos. And thus I believe in the end that not even the way of the finger can save Petyr Baelish. But that will have to wait till next time, in Part 5 of Chaos is a Ladder, but to where? Endgame. So I hope to see you all there, where we will finally conclude this long, long march through Littlefinger.